you Viltrumite scum, welcome to... My name is Adam Straughan, and we are back covering Invincible Season 3, Episode 8, the big finale. I thought you'd never shut up, something I'm always saying to people around New York City. But before I get into that, I have three very special guests, and one new guest for this season, but who we've had on before. So, starting off, we have Mr. Ian Carlos Crawford is back. How are you doing, Ian?
Hi, good.
Good. We also have returning Mr. Zachary Patton Garcia. How are you doing, Zach?
It's great to be here.
Absolutely. And then we also have Mr. Alastair Patton Garcia. How are you doing, Alastair? What's going on?
I'm just living, laughing, loving, you know?
You should have the sign.
I'm happy to be here.
You should have that sign on the wall and just be pointing to it.
Hey, we're not having one of those in my house. No,
I am all
absolutely
about
not.
having one of those in the house.
Nope.
Man,
I think that's our vibe.
That'll be up like a bathroom sign. I'd be okay with that.
I feel like you got to get like 20 years older, and then you could be like, yeah, no, let's put that up.
Become like a wine mom, and then you can have it. Yeah. Live, laugh, drink. All right. So obviously, Alastair, I've never had you on for season 3. So I want to know, like, basically, we'll go into the finale. So I guess everything up until the finale. What's been your kind of general thoughts of this season, like comparatively to like season 2 and season 1? How have you enjoyed it?
I think, especially compared to season 1 and season 2, the way I describe this season is I'm a little tired. I think the characters are a little, not in a bad way, but I think the characters are a little tired. They're all just emotionally exhausted. I would never live in a city if I was in this world. I'd never, ever live in a city.
Absolutely fucking not.
And
if I see any of these bitches on the street, I'm fucking out of there.
And also, I think that the break between the two halves of the season didn't really serve it. And I think the momentum got lost a little bit. And I felt the momentum pick up when we just kind of like waited for a few episodes to go and just like kind of binged it. But otherwise, I'm not sure why they made that decision.
You mean like between seasons 2 and 3? Is that what you're talking about? Because there was no break in season 3.
Never mind. I've just been really busy in life.
So I mean, they dropped the first 3 seasons all together as one, and then like it was week by week.
Yeah, first episode.
3 episodes.
Yeah. But
you were right. You're right. I think I just watched those, and I just like took a break, and I was like,
but they did do that in season 2, though.
Yes,
they did do that in season 2. Yeah.
Right, and then the gap between season 1 and season 2 was like 17 years. So like, I totally get it. You come to expect it of the show now, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, yes, I know what you mean. Like every time, like I see, like, you know, another city fall down, or like people getting their bones broken, or like I'm just like, these people, and like especially this episode when we talk about trauma, Mark's trauma, going through something again, is like these people need therapy for like 10 years. Like, how are they still standing? To be fair.
Yeah, I feel like in this world, even in a city, because they'll demolish the city and then they fly out to somewhere else and demolish that. So it's like there's nowhere to live except for like not on this planet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
they need therapy. They need a PR department dedicated to.
I don't think any of that even
image.
works. Nothing works in this universe anymore. Therapy doesn't work in this universe because the very next season you're getting your face shoved into a bunch of people again. So like, at this point, there is no solution, and we'll get to it, but we might have to have like a citizen vote in the planet of the Earth, vote him off the planet, because we'll get to it. Shit's going down.
Shit is getting real.
Him being around is not making it any better.
No, honestly, like literally get us off this Earth, get us out of this galaxy, man. Like it's too much.
I watched and I won't say any spoilers. I watched this and Yellow Jackets. Like, I'm loving having like new episodes of new shows to watch that I enjoy.
It's been nice, hasn't it?
It has been. Yeah, it's like that, White Lotus. And I've been binging Daredevil, as we mentioned, Adam, like season 3. I'm almost done, and then I'll have Daredevil Born Again. But I was like, Jesus Christ. Invincible and Yellow Jackets this week both had episodes that made me extremely mad, made me weep, and made me actually scream at the TV. And I like never do that. So TV's back, baby.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. TV is bad. That's the mark of good TV. Like when you're sitting there, like right now, like I'm enjoying White Lotus, but I'm kind of just passively watching it. I'm like, yeah, I know this is good, but I'm not like invested.
Oh,
But
I'm invested. Those brothers
Yes,
need
you
to
are.
fuck right
you know
now.
what? I am the exact type of nosy person this show is made for. So yes, because me and Alistair were talking about that, and he feels the same sort of the way that you do, Adam. Is that he's like passively enjoying it, but I am like, it's like the ladies talking at the next table, and I'm fully listening to everything they're saying.
You do love that shit, Zach. Normally,
Yes,
I don't.
absolutely.
But like, a White Lotus every season has felt like a collection of short stories I would have loved in grad school, and like tried to write something like it very poorly, but added like a serial killer or like a monster.
Yeah, you know what? Fair. I mean, like it's getting juicier now with stuff happening, like especially stuff that's happening with the dad and like, you know, like the three women like going out for that good night out and it was shit, and then they went to the better night out. Like that stuff was fun. But yes, those brothers are definitely going to fool around.
I'm worried that it'll come to the end and then the shooting will happen and it'll stop them
They're not gonna hook up. Absolutely not. It's not happening.
I don't think
Listen.
they are either.
Listen, Game of Thrones did it. All right. So speaking of White Lotus, episode 7 of Invincible. What did you guys think? Because I know obviously Zach and Alistair haven't spoken to you about that, and you can just tell me like obviously that was the big Invincible fight, which I mean Ian and I both said like that was our favorite episode. Be interested.
That
to hear
was
what
the
you think
big
of this.
Invincible fight, and then this is the big Invincible fight. There's always a big Invincible fight.
Well, I meant the Invincibles.
How long was episode 7? Because me and Alistair
It
just
felt
got
really long.
Yeah, me and Alistair just watched like episodes 4 through 8, all like in one sitting, and that felt like an extra long episode. It felt like an hour and a half, but I can't tell if it really was or I don't know. It felt really fucking long, but it was like really good at the same time. Like I think I'm so sick of Angstrom. I do not want to see him anymore. I don't
Same.
care. Fuck
Same.
Angstrom. Let him be somebody else's universe over there, and I just don't want to see him anymore. But I did love seeing all of the marks, all of the Invincibles
Yes.
like, come into this, because what way to really like drive those stakes into the ground and really create a dilemma that is going to carry over into the next season. And I'm really hoping they don't drop it or like just pass over it, because now his face is the face of destruction for this planet. And how the fuck is he going to get through that? You know, that's insane to me.
That's why I'm saying he needs PR for that, you know, or to hang up the Invincible name, take up another identity.
I know, put the hair away.
so-
The hair's too identifiable at this point.
Like
At least change the suit.
something else. Yeah, change the suit. You know, you're no
Put
longer
the ass
invincible. You're no
away.
longer invincible.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he can gain weight. You know, just to have a little different body
Full witness
type.
protection. What is your? Is that your PR move? Is that how you're fixing this?
When you
Hey,
embarrass him
he needs
publicly,
to
that's his move.
He needs to maybe grow a beard. I don't know. He got to look different if he's going to come back. You know what? Maybe he shouldn't come back. Maybe he needs to go on a space vacation at this point. Him and Adam Eve.
Listen.
But I really enjoyed it. I liked seeing all the marks together. I think there's also almost too much there to explore, like how they each got to where they're at, because that's like how my mind was in it, you know, especially with them like being around. Hey, what did Angstrom promise each of them to like actually come here? One of them said, "Hey, I want to come back to save Mom." One of them said, "I really just miss William," and I was like,
Oh, I did love that. I was like,
"Yeah."
Well,
we
let me tell
got
you.
a gay canon mark.
Let
That
me
was
tell you,
nice.
that. Did you read up about that? One of the artists for Invincible, the
No.
show, confirmed that was gay canon mark. So
Because why not? Really,
yeah.
at that point, why not? They need
And
a
they
White
didn't kill
Lotus
him,
mark.
so that was nice.
Well, but I don't think that was too much to delve into, because I think that was their little moment to do that. Because there's too many marks there. We don't really need to like go into all of their backgrounds or anything. They could just have a little moment where they all say a little quick thing, and I thought that was perfect.
Yeah. No, I thought.
Well,
it
I
really
disagree
worked.
with you, Zach.
That's fine.
To
You're in
your-
there. I'm in here.
to you, to your point, Alistair, I think there has been just so much. I like that you all took a drink at the same time. There has just been so much happening that I am a little bit like, I was like, wait, where are Nolan and Alan? Like, don't they need to come? And like, I don't know. There was like, we get the multiverse, and that felt like a weird diversion. And then we
Yeah.
get this other dude again. That's another like traumatic fucking battle for Mark. And it was like, can we just a little bit like,
I
Well,
have
also,
yeah, go on.
I think Mark's a little bit of a bitch. Can I say bitch on this?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, Alistair.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit of a bitch. He's like, "Ugh, Eve is injured, so I'm just gonna stay here and let the rest of the world, hundreds of thousands of people die."
Okay,
And I get it,
your
Mark, but you're
favorite
literally
superhero
destroying
literally
the world.
went catatonic as her sister was being like sacrificed by a hell god. Do you really want to talk about people not running into battle just immediately? Sometimes some people need a chill moment, just a moment, to like a 5 minutes to kind of put themselves together. He did rise to the occasion.
I was like, who did that? Oh, right, Buffy.
Yeah, no, for a second I was like, when did that happen? Oh, okay.
Everybody just like
Anyways.
forgets that she went catatonic for a whole episode.
Yeah.
But
And that's I do
yeah.
I don't know, but it's like that's the like person he loves. So like
Yeah.
Well, I mean that is a person he loves, but there's so many other people that he loves. It's just like he always makes only like in his face decisions, and then is like upset, but we kind of see in this episode that he kind of changes his mind and realizes that other things can
Well,
happen.
he's how many years old? He's
Yeah,
still
he's like
like a
19.
Still a
teenager.
teenager,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's still a teenager. He's a human.
Buffy was a
not human,
teenager.
but he's grown up as a human. He is a 19-year-old, and he's a person. And people just need, people are not going to be able to immediately. Sometimes people just need the little bit of down moment. They
Yeah.
need a little bit of like they're not going to do everything perfectly. So he didn't run immediately into battle, but he did. It was like a scene. It was like a scene, and then he was there. It didn't
Right.
take long, and. It's just there's a like I could not imagine being him at this point. I think
Hell
he is
no.
one of the characters in TV that has been through so much that I don't know how he's still functioning.
I was like, next
I'm
season is he gonna
surprised
kill
he
himself?
wasn't
Like,
I'm surprised he wasn't catatonic for that entire episode because he should have. I don't know how does it. Mark even kill-
I'm
how does
surprised
Invincible
he's
kill
not
himself? I don't
exploring
think he can.
drugs, alcohol, sex.
I don't know. I do think this season, like overall, I think I had that same problem as you and Ian, where it felt like there was a lot being thrown at us, and then we weren't really like building like an overarching
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
But we had like a bunch of like beginnings and like starts because what was his name? Not Power Line.
Powerplex. Yeah.
Power Pup. Power Pup. I loved his fucking episode. I thought that was so good. And had it been done just a little bit earlier in the season and he kept popping up doing his little deed, throughout the entire season, he could have been a big bad for the season. Maybe not the biggest bad because we do have Conquest coming in still, and we do have like all of the marks, but like that could have been something that was built up a little bit for a little bit of a longer period, and then by the time like all the marks show up, he's like, yeah, see, I was right, and like he turns in like then Mark's fucking fighting everybody, and but I liked when they did that stuff, but then it's because it's only 8 episodes, we don't have enough time to be introducing all of this stuff. I think it needed a few more episodes if it was going to do all that.
And this is why we need the Sokovia Accords.
We do.
Yeah, Ian, you loved Powerplex as well, right?
That's funny you say that, Zach, because that was like maybe our least favorite episode this season.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Listen, like I even said in the episode, like I think he was justified in how he felt, like absolutely, like losing his family and everything like that. It was very much the Batman v Superman thing, why Batman hates Superman in that movie. Like completely understand and get that. I just wish because he was only in one episode and we'd never met him before, I was like, they're building him up to be something, and then it kind of just fizzled out. So like, yes, we see him in the next episode, and then that's kind of it. Whereas if he was kind of popping up through the season, maybe I would have felt differently about him. But to put that much into one character with a great reason as to why he's so fucked off with Mark, to then like fizzle out just seems like a missed opportunity more than anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, like overall, like just talking a little bit about Mark. By the way, that episode that you're on about, episode 7, is 51 minutes long.
That's it. See, it felt like an
51.
hour and a half. I swear, like that one kept going. Maybe I don't know what it is. Yeah, we have ads. So
And then this
that
one
was
felt
it.
short. This one, I was like
did.
texting Adam. I was like, I already have like
Because
20
there's
minutes
not a whole
left.
lot going on in this one, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's mainly just the fight, and then we have like a little like epilogue moment.
Like a breathing moment. I mean, this one was 46 minutes long, so it just tells you, like, it's crazy for a
Yeah.
finale, 46 minutes. But
Especially
my
when every
God.
other episode's been
I'm gonna
longer.
be
It was almost a
screaming about
2-part
this
finale,
fucking
I'd say.
Yeah,
They
it
could have
did. It could have all been
put
more.
them both out. at the
yeah,
same time,
absolutely. Yeah, because they go hand in hand with each other, especially like the way episode 7 ends, literally them coming charging towards each other, and then episode it starts with them doing the punch, which really worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Let's just jump straight into it. And at the end, we'll kind of talk about our overall thoughts of the season, because I've got some thoughts. But I do like the title card, like instantly coming in, like, you know, the Viltrumite colors are back.
I don't
like,
even remember it.
Literally, it happened. It was like
a lot going on.
right. It was like previously title card go.
Yeah.
It was like so fucking fast. But obviously, like the big thing, the big kind of meat of this episode is the Conquest versus Mark fight. And what I will say is I like how layered this fight was. So like, you know, it does take up most of the episode. It's like a huge thing. But like, again, I like that we learn a little bit about Conquest in this. Like, you know, we see Mark doing well and then having his ass handed to him and having his ass whooped like massively. I love that Mark overcomes that at the end and like literally like, you know, headbutts him so his face is in half. I like, you know, we've got Eve's involvement. We've got Oliver's involvement. So like it's such a multi-layered fight, which could have easily been so focused on just Conquest and Mark, because we've seen that before, right? There's so many parallels to this with Mark versus Omniman at the end of season 1, right? Like with them holding Mark and blasting through people again. He's going through all of that again. And then Mark like literally blasting his head open. Same thing he did to Rangstrom at the end of it, like season 2 as well. So Mark is kind of revisiting trauma again in this in the worst way. So although he is physically broken down, mentally too.
I hate it. Like I love everything that happens. And I think it is like such a really great episode, but I hate everything that he goes through in this episode. I don't think any of it is like, it just makes me angry for him. This is not supposed to be his granddaddy, is it? They're not related. No. Okay. Well, my headcanon says that's his daddy's daddy.
Listen. Let's see that family tree.
I mean, I just think that Stephen Yeun needs to be left alone by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Okay, can we talk about this shit?
Yes.
Because I was hearing it. I was hearing Jeffrey Dean's voice.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
And I kept leaning over to Alastair. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Who is that? And I said, that better not be motherfucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan after what he put Glenn through in Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
And looked it up on my phone, and it said Jeffrey Dean Morgan Conquest, and we screamed. The whole thing felt like a little like reference to The Walking Dead, like especially at the very end when his face is all fucked up. It felt like Glenn getting his lick back in.
Well, listen, there's another Walking Dead reference in this as well, like when he bites into Conquest and like tears off his shoulder. That's Rick Grimes. That's what he did as well to pretend to Carl. So like you can tell, same writer, right? As The Walking Dead, Invincible. He's like using some of his cards like all the time.
Oh, it is the same writer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
Is it? I didn't know it was.
Oh
yeah, so The Walking Dead is written by the same writer.
Same creator.
Same creator. Yeah.
Both of them. Yeah.
So Robert
That's
Kirkman
crazy.
wrote The Walking Dead and obviously wrote Invincible as well. So that's why.
I still have trauma
And that's why
what happened to
hired
Glenn.
Steven to like be like, hey, I'm sorry.
And obviously, there's so
for you.
many of like the actors from The Walking Dead like in this. So half of the original Guardians were like the actors from The Walking Dead as well. So
I do love that. I love when they bring them over when they work with people a lot.
and I mean Jeffrey Dean Morgan was great as Conquest. Like I loved
Yes,
how
but it may be
sinister
too
he
soon
was.
for this for me. I know that was years ago, but
For me,
Still
it's
not over
fresh.
it.
I just
for us
watched
it's
it,
fresh.
like,
We
a
had to
couple weeks
stop
ago.
watching it for a little while because it just got
was
very
too
dark
much. It
and
was too
very
much.
sad.
We
And
were halfway through season 8, and we were like, we can't. We got to take a break.
So that brings up like my like one point of like a little bit of issue with this season that Zach kind of talked about too. It's like I just like I don't it made me mad, and I don't understand how we're supposed to like. I don't understand how Mark is supposed to like go on functioning after.
Yes.
Like,
I don't want to root for his overcoming something this episode.
No.
I don't, because I don't want him to go through it in the first place.
I'm like,
I
let
don't
me
want
die.
this.
Yeah. Like,
We're recapping the episode, right? We're doing it like we've been doing it. So okay.
Yes,
so
I mean, like, we'll
get to
go
those
through it. We'll
points
get to
then.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like,
but
overall,
I mean, spill it
like,
all.
not just like this episode, but like overall, it's like.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been saying this on this podcast since the first time you had me on, Adam, but like, I just like Mark needs like a nice day, and he just doesn't ever get one. And it's like, not only, it's like he has bad days and then worse days, but like there's never a good day. It's like something nice will be happening that day, and then someone's head gets chopped off.
I would
like,
want to call this the Buffy season 6, but after what happens at the end of this season, like the worst is yet to come.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not even there.
right.
There's a point, like, I do think it's good, but I don't know. I remember when I would watch Buffy with my mom, I remember going into the finale and she was like, he's going to kill Buffy. She's going to die in the finale. They love torturing characters and killing them on the show. And when Buffy got like run through with the sword, my mom being like, she's going to die. I'm going to be so upset. I don't really, I love these characters and I love Mark. I don't like seeing him get like tortured so much. I'm like, I need a little lighter of a bad guy.
Like Powerplex?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know. I don't mind seeing Mark tortured. You know, I think it's good for his growth.
All right, Conquest, calm down.
Oliver was a little much, but then I was like, he kind of had it coming. After the whole season of him just popping in and not following the rules. And then, but Rex exploded, and then I was like,
we were devastated in that
baby
episode.
boy.
Like one of my favorite characters in all of Invincible, and like to see him go. But like, obviously, we'll get to it when we do. But like, you know, I'm pleased that he had a funeral and he didn't come back because they needed his funeral to really reference that people can die in this world. Because the amount of people that have died and come back
I have seen
in
it.
the same episode.
I have seen people die, and we didn't need another. He wasn't necessary.
This season, a lot of people have died and come back. Usually they die and stay
Right.
like Bush.
well, I mean, usually if you're not a superhero, you just die. That kid that got his arm chopped off.
And they lingered on that too. Like,
It was like a guy and his dog getting chopped in half, and then a child getting chopped in half.
Listen, but I mean, to go back to like one of your big points as well, like when we were saying like we can no longer see Mark go through any of this, which is true, right? Like he's like one of my favorite characters in anything in it ever, and I hate to see him being so tortured, but I think that's why we see ourselves through Debbie so often, because she's the one that says in this, she has so much guilt, right? And she even says, Mark, I am so sorry we made the wrong decision. Like I shouldn't have listened to your father. This is all my fault. And like we can feel that guilt that she has because she's with us, right? Like she's watching her son being beaten to fuck as well, like what we are. So it's
I'm
interesting.
glad she kept her ass at home today.
Me too.
I was too worried. I was like, it's gonna be her boyfriend. It's gonna be her again. Something.
Yeah. All of her limbs are going to be broken this time. Like fucking hell. But yeah. So I mean, the fight itself, like obviously, you know, I loved Conquest. I loved how evil he was. Like I think he was a great character. And even when he's saying shit like, you know, there's no greater feeling than like my fist drenched in blood and stuff.
Genuinely crazy too. Even before he says the whole thing at the end, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is like batshit
tapped. Yeah. Even like when they go out into space while they're fighting and like blows the bubble, like blood bubble, like makes it into a heart and then like just blows it towards Mark. Like
that's so crazy like shit to do.
Right? Like wild.
I skipped back that scene. I was like, what did I just miss? What was that? But it was just him being crazy.
It was his, you know.
Yes.
For whatever reason, then the fact that he like doesn't ever have human interaction, so he doesn't know how to act with anybody.
Yeah, I get the impression he would like not because they do say he's like one of the strongest, right? Of the Viltrumites.
Yeah.
But like not only was he one of the strongest, but it seems like he was like extra crazy. Like,
which makes him like even more dangerous. So like with that first season finale, because I was at times being like, I don't want that repeated. I don't want that. I think that was like one of the worst things that could ever happen to Mark. I don't think like we need to see him go through that again. I think that is already the thing to overcome that he's not going to be able to overcome probably ever, or at least till the end of the series. So for him to be going through that again was pretty traumatic just to watch. I can't imagine for him, this little PNG character. What like clicked in my brain when I was watching it was the difference that I don't know if it made it worse, because I guess his dad was pretty, that being your dad doing that is pretty crazy, but you knew that just watching it that his dad was not going to kill him, right? And I knew he wasn't going to die in this one either, but I was watching Conquest thinking, oh, the way he's like playing with him and the way he's talking to him, he's not even trying to take his head off. He's trying to like he wants him to be physically put through all of this. And when he says that I'm having fun, I'm like literally going to play here all day. This is my sandbox for the rest of the fucking day. I was like, this shit is about to get absolutely fucking insane. And it's going to be 10 times worse than his dad doing it, just because he's just going to be killing people after people after people just to have fun, just to play around. Whereas like Nolan was trying to get his son to just, as soon as his son would have said, "Hey, okay, I'm on your side," killing would have stopped at that moment and they would have flown off, right? But this man would have stayed here all day long, all week long, killing everybody in their path.
Well, let's also talk about Mark and how evil he is. Because
Which
one of the
one?
times he punched, or like he's punching and grabbing the guy and putting him through buildings. I'm like, there's people in those buildings.
I
Did we
did
not
think
learn any
that.
lessons at all?
Yeah,
And I was
did
like,
think that.
okay, y'all need to go to a non-city and work this out.
Yes,
like,
and I agree.
Punch
I think
him
they-
to
my
into
only thing here
wilderness or
was that
something.
they should have flown up. He should have
Yeah.
flown him up because the guy would have followed Mark, right?
Yeah.
But Mark
Yeah.
also did not have a moment to make quick
Yeah.
decisions like that.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
was just reacting. Like it was like, this is the guy, this is Mark, and he was just
yeah,
trying
but he
to,
could have
like,
tried
kind of,
to run away towards.
He
like,
was
a more
trying.
wilderness
He
place.
was trying. He was trying. He was
Yeah.
trying.
And I think
it
at one
was
point,
a lot.
I think at one point, like Mark did feel like, oh, I've got the upper hand here, so like that's really not necessary. I can beat this guy down. And then when Conquest started to really lay it on Mark, well, Mark had no choice. Like Mark had no control over the situation at all, and that's a big thing in this fight. But I do like when you think about Oliver, which we'll get to in a second, like Conquest is almost like what Oliver could have become, because like Oliver tried to understand, like, you know, human life and, like, you know, protecting human life. Like, Oliver didn't get that for the longest time until it took him some learning, right? Like, it took Debbie to teach him that. It took Mark to teach him that. But had he been left to his kind of own devices to going on, he could have very much gone down the similar path of Conquest of just being like, well, this life means nothing to me. So what the fuck? I don't care. They're so beneath me. So it's interesting just thinking about those parallels with Oliver. But I did like him in this episode, and I did feel for him when
I've
it
been
looked like
talking
he was going to be
so much shit
stretched.
about Oliver all season, and I like Oliver, but I was like, oh, I know this motherfucker's gonna be evil. This little bitch is gonna be evil, and so I'm already against him. I'm already his op, and this whole episode I was screaming. I was like, no, Oliver, run!
Zach, I literally said in previous episodes, throw that gremlin child in a volcano.
Yes, but I
And-
was so defensive of him this episode. I was like, no. And when Debbie told him to go, okay, so do you think that was because do you think that was her sacrificing him to give Mark a little bit more of a chance?
No, I think it's
completely.
She knew that there's no way
kind
that
of-
she could have stopped him. He was going to go anyway,
was
which is
gonna
why
go.
she very quickly said,
fair.
"Look,
Yeah, that's
keep your
fair.
distance. Don't let him grab you. Do this." Because, you know, what? How's Debbie going to stop him? She's not going to. He was going to go. In his mind, he was already there. So that was her saying what she could before he went.
And I also think, like I always say with Buffy, Buffy taking so long to be like, yeah, Dawn should train. It's like this in this world, you should be training because monsters are coming to that house every day. And like with same thing with Invincible, where I feel like although Oliver is like, you know, rapidly aging, but still kind of 10. I feel like Oliver was the only one that could fight, like the only one that could have like punched.
Absolutely.
I
Did something. Yeah.
I feel like at that point, Debbie knows that one, he wouldn't listen, and two, he is the only one that could help her son. And like, okay.
I think it might be a little bit of both though, because I do think that Mark is her baby. Oliver was put into her life and she does love Oliver, but I think if it came down to the two, I think she would choose, and she would choose Mark. And I think this was maybe a little inkling or a little hint of something to come, because I do think they're going to get to the point where it is Mark versus Oliver. And I don't know. I think this was kind of a little taste of that.
Sorry.
I mean, can you blame her for choosing her husband's little
Like fling baby?
I wouldn't
fidelity
be choosing that
child?
little insect baby either. Absolutely not.
It's funny because I just watched this episode last night before bed. I like have been rotating Rick and Morty into my nighttime watching rotation, and there's literally an episode where like the memory was erased from Morty. That's this like villain has them all captured and tells the mom, you have to pick between your two kids. It's such a tough decision. And she's like, Summer, I picked Summer. And the mom picks her daughter
I
immediately.
think she's doing that. And I think she was ready to let Oliver go, knowing that it was a good possibility that Oliver wouldn't come back. And I think something in her was sort of saying it gives Mark a better chance if there's an Oliver in the way.
But I don't. But I agree, but I don't think in like a death way. I think this gives them a
just
better
to help.
shot.
Yeah, the
I
pair of them
And I don't
together
think she's like
fighting him.
sending him out, like wanting him to die, but I think she thinks if he's standing in the way to get his head chopped first, then it's better for Mark. And
Because I feel like the logic would be, well, if he chops off Oliver's head, he's definitely chopping off Mark's too, like, and then chopping off everyone else's in the world.
Well,
so
I don't know. There's that extra second for Mark to like go fly off somewhere else or get away somehow. I don't know.
I think,
But,
yeah,
know
I
what?
mean,
I was screaming for Oliver. I was like, this was my baby boy at this point.
I know, and I didn't like him all season, but I was worried. I was definitely worried.
right. He definitely grew on me.
And when we didn't go back to him, I was like, "Oh God, are we gonna get a reveal?" That he's
We really did it for a long time.
Like, honestly, though, but
I punch through a building and is gone.
Right. I mean, I do think ultimately it is Debbie, like, because Debbie is very clued into the superhero world for not being a superhero. So, like, she gets the only person really now that stands any chance of helping her son is Mark. Is Oliver. But I mean, if we get a Sophie's Choice with Debbie's Choice, like, I'd watch the shit out of that. But but I do like I mean, I liked in the last episode as well when like Oliver like literally went straight away to save Mark and like punched Powerplex like down to the ground. Like, I love that shit, and I love him defending Mark because you know he was the antagonist of Mark for like those first kind of couple of episodes, and I love to see him defending his brother because that's the Debbie in him, right? And I really like to see that. But I will say, like, the animation, like when we cut to like, you know, when Conquest and Mark are fighting, obviously, you know, Oliver's like racing towards getting them. And like on Mark's hair, like when he's like down on the ground and then he looks up and like puts his hand out and he's like, stop, like just stop. What did you guys think Mark was going to try and say to Conquest in that point before Conquest was like, nah?
He fucking knew. I think he was because that's what happens in these superhero.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happens in these
A little bit
superhero
of
things.
breather.
Is you have your moment to talk and like say your little thing, and it's everybody getting a breather. But this guy was not doing that. This guy whacked you around and then had his own shit to say, and you know his little one-liners. But he wasn't letting you get your one-liners in. I don't think he knew what he was going to say. He was just hoping that the guy would stop for a second. I thought the animation when he had Oliver above his head, he was like about to rip him in half.
I was really
the sweat was dropping onto his face.
And you could hear everything as well, like cracking and like the skin stretching.
I was like, I know this show is wild, so they could do it. And I
fully expected
this is one of those shows that I'm like, they could right
Rip
here.
this child.
What am I watching?
And you just know it felt really good for a second, and then it felt really bad.
Right? I wouldn't mind someone doing that.
Right? But that's a 10-year-old child. We're all, you know, above 30. We're like,
he's like, just a little bit lower, get that lower vertebra.
I'm like, ooh, this feels great. Oops, I'm
you'll feel it in your muscles first. I'm like, yes, I feel it.
Listen, I'd still be ripped in half, and I'd be like, I feel so much better. Like, I can breathe finally.
I'm like, oh, I've been waiting for this.
It's like it feels like a weight has been come off, you know, but it's half your body.
But I did like Oliver obviously rocking up and like smacking Conquest initially, and then being like, oh, you know, this like shit talking a little bit, and then when he was powering towards him and like Conquest just literally kind of clotheslines him and knocks him to the ground, I'm like, well, Oliver's fucking dead now. Like, it was just wild. But I do like the moments of when like Mark is spurred on into rage mode, so like it activates when he sees like Oliver being hurt, when he sees Adam Eve is like, you know, what happens with her, which we'll get to it. Like, I like when he goes into full rage when he's like punching the shit out of him.
I was screaming. I was like, Mark, get out of the rubble! Get out! Let's go!
That especially, I do think these superheroes need to coordinate a little bit better, because it always ends up somebody getting punched and the other person being like, oh no, and then they chase after them and then they get whacked. Instead of like, okay, if we're teaming him, let's team him instead of just like, you know.
Alastair, I kept thinking, we saw a lot of superheroes in the first episode this season. Where the fuck are all of them?
And when they all turn up later on, like at the end, it's like, where the fuck were all you guys? Like,
they
were waiting on the sidelines.
They're like
vacations.
When Mark was there with Adam being like, "Where's Cecil? You think he's gonna come out with Conquest right there?" No,
I don't think I would either. I don't think. I think I'm staying in my house and I see another Viltrumite on TV.
Anyone got a bazooka? I'll use a bazooka, but I'm not going there.
We have like a list of things that we need. I'm running for mayor of this city at this point because this is not working. I don't think anybody should be living in this city, but if you choose to live in this city, we need a better plan for these buildings. We need tornado sirens for this place. That sounds if we got any superhero fights or anything. Invincible is not allowed in the vicinity of the city. If we have city problems, other heroes come in and take care of those problems, and Invincible takes care of everything outside of the city. It does not work, and there was too many people. Like, we didn't even see everybody who died, but these buildings were going down left and right, and how many people were in these damn buildings? It's insane.
I think that I do like that, which I know you don't agree with, Zach, but like how bad the Snyder movies were because they would do that and never address it. And like how in Batman versus Superman, it's like that whole town is dead. Like everyone we see, every city, everyone is fucking dead. And like Man of Steel, every building in Metropolis collapses.
Listen, like in Batman versus Superman, I like that was the reason why Batman hated Superman. I like that they built that up. But when suddenly both their mothers have the same name, so now that doesn't matter anymore. Like that, I was like, what are we doing? There's some things you just
have to forget about. Yeah, don't remember stuff like that.
The roads, you know.
But then you see on the news on this show, and they're like, why would this hero do this? Why are they here doing this to us in Townsville? Well, the Powerpuff Girls.
Well, they kept them being like,
are y'all fucking stupid? Y'all fucking stupid? All of y'all.
It's not Townsville. but the breaking news, there's Invincible, and a lot of people who look like Invincible. And then
I'm like, where are the bunkers? How have we not built bunkers? Adam, Eve, you haven't built bunkers yet for these people?
You know what? Yes. Sorry, where are the Powerpuff Girls? Fucking killed me. Where is Mojo Jojo? But I mean, speaking of the Powerpuff Girls, let's get to Adam Eve because she basically is one. But
he's
like a Sailor Moon.
Yes, okay.
All right.
WandaVision. This is the Scarlet Witch. Yes. She is the Pink Power Ranger. She did everything this episode. I loved her.
This is my favorite. And like Ian and I did the Adam Eve episode, like the standalone episode, which she was amazing as like a 12-year-old girl in that, and we saw everything she could do with her powers in that, which I strongly recommend you guys watch, by the way. But this Adam Eve, like Ian, you text me saying I'm so proud of our girl. Yes, 100%. Like I love as well, like when she's in the hospital and like when she wakes up and as soon as she sees what's going on, she's like, nah, fuck this, I'm going. Leg broken, no. And like I like as well, she's like, do I look like I need to walk? She's like,
the bossest bitch ass thing that she could have said at that moment, right? Like I believed it. I'm like, y'all get out of her, get out of here.
Listen,
out of this hospital room.
She does
create a door. Everybody, open the doors.
Then later on,
she also needs to be like a post-apocalypse superhero who just comes in and just like erects the buildings again.
Yes. I've just never cared about her all that much. Like I'm like fine with her. I'm like, she's okay. That's okay. They're okay. They're having little dates and stuff like that. This is the shit that I want to see. This is Adam Eve. This is I'm so happy she's here. Who said Sailor Moon? Somebody mentioned fucking Sailor Moon doing her whole spin change.
I love that.
Sailor Moon also a little bit of Cordelia with
for the
charging Invincible.
Everything.
Honestly.
It's funny because her saying all that, I was like, fuck yeah. And then as she's fighting him, and I'm like, yeah, she's doing great. Oh God, I'm worried she's going to die. And then
but
I mean, it happened a little bit, but she's fine.
Look, she's all good. She's more powerful now than what she was, to be fair, like initially. But like I loved again like the layers of the fight between them two. So like I love her. We said this, Ian, like when she put all the armor on her, when you saw that episode with her and Mark when they were fighting that dragon or whatever. Like, and I love the powers. That was like a taster of this episode, right? When like her and Mark were working together with their powers. I fucking loved that shit. But then this, like the moment you see her armoring up, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go.
Amazing. I'm like, let me see what other fashions you got in there. Where do you keep them? You got in your little Mary Poppins bag somewhere. I don't fucking know, but this is phenomenal. No men speak to her. No men can say any words to her. Like, I don't want to hear no mansplaining.
And like even though
she's doing phenomenal too.
Yeah, I was like, even though she doesn't know getting gutted, she did she held her own better than any other hero aside from Mark could have.
Yes. And I liked as well, like, when she goes to see Cecil and he's like, look, don't ask me to make you do this. She's like, you don't have a choice, Cecil. I am already fucking there. Again, as you said, Zach, no explaining. She is honest.
Who did that to her? Who put the chip in her brain so that
we don't know that yet.
We don't know. Okay.
Well, they
were jealous.
In the womb,
jealous
too, and I'm like,
bitches
in the womb. Yeah. You guys should watch that.
your parents
episode.
not know about this?
You guys should watch that Adam Eve episode because a lot of it leaks into that.
Okay.
So,
okay, we'll watch it.
But I have to say, like, honestly, like all of this when like she powers on and then she's like the density of the air around him and like he stops and he's like, what? It was like, you know, when like Willow freezes Glory in that one point before she like, it was like that. It was so fucking
Bag of
cool.
tricks, bag of knives, bitch.
Bag of knives. It made me realize I was like, I don't quite understand Eve's powers, but I love it. Like,
Yeah, same.
It was
I'm like,
all of
look,
it.
go
She
off.
even looked like Willow laying in the bed. That's the hospital season 2, didn't she? A little bandage on her foot.
She's about to go, Akum.
I know. Alistair leaned over to me and he went, Akum.
She throws her head back. She's Conquest is like, now this is getting weak. And
Oh,
so are
she's
you, honey.
iconic. She's iconic.
Her
I'm
face
obsessed
got
with
messed
her.
up, and I kept on
Obsessed.
thinking, how are they going to fix her face with like a metal plate?
I
or
was
something?
thinking that
Adams,
too.
Adams. I'm like, she
Yeah.
can fix anything.
Yeah, man.
And like
but
I was texting Adam through that part and I was like, oh, I'm so proud of our girl. And then I was like, I screamed when he like punches half of her face off and then puts his hand through her fucking
The
stomach.
face was worse. Don't do that.
And
to
she
me.
has the intestines just floating around.
When the intestines came out, I like screamed and started immediately crying. So I was like, no.
Well, because I think, oh, the show could do that.
Yeah.
It could kill her.
Yep. Like as
When
we
he-
saw, like Rex in the last episode, like she could have been dead.
Same thing with you, Alistair, though. I did when he punched her face part off, I was like, all right, well, we hear breathing noises, so like
How are we going to fix this?
yeah. I was like,
But
maybe
she's
she
still
has
here.
technology.
She's there still.
Listen, if I was Eve, though, I'd be the same. I'd be like, look, just put your hand through me, but just leave my face. Okay, I
can't-
want to die
Eve,
pretty.
Eve, who's the president? Eve.
I kept
Well,
having
I also
Fanning her.
expected her. I expected her to do like a pink thing to kind of like cover her injury. You know, like one of her little shields to keep her
Bandage.
guts.
She don't
in or
need it. She
something.
fixed her own
like a
skin.
bandage. Yeah.
The backdrop of Pink Pony Club, she's just like,
every time we heard her gurgle, I
Yeah.
kept thinking I had your voice in my head, Zach, being like, we don't see a dead body, she's not dead. She ain't dead because she's not she's still gurgling, but then
Yes.
she did stop gurgling, and I was
Oh,
like,
man.
oh fuck.
but yeah, I mean, I loved it because again, like the layers of it, like I loved that fight. Like maybe my favorite fight, like in the episode, to be honest. I loved it so much. I love that she threw everything. And like Ian, like I've said to you before, like Eve always for me came across as a more of a defensive like fighter than like an aggressive. So like she's forever putting up shields, she's locking people in cubes, like she's holding people down. All of that shit went out the window here. She's like, no, full on attack mode, throwing knives, throwing like spike balls, like all of it. I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I
I
love
was
that
like
fucking
questioning some of the decisions, like all the shapes she was making. You know, I don't know what I'd have.
She should have done a sword.
But,
I-
you know,
Alistair, I was like, I don't know that like we can stab a Viltrumite. Mark can be, but it feels like the rest of them
a
can't
big
be.
sword. Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe she could use a spike to go into his eyes, and she could just gouge his
Something.
eyes out, and then that like.
Oh,
then
she
he
did
goes
do
in.
the, like that big scythe.
But they
thing,
just put his hand
and I
up,
was
right?
like-
And it just hit the hand and just disintegrated.
But
yeah.
also, I mean, Zach or Alistair, one of you said this earlier. I do think like she wasn't having a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she had like a semblance of a plan. Like, I'm going to give myself armor,
It was
shield,
just all the
and-
shapes that were coming into her head in the moment. She's
Yeah,
like,
just like right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Square,
these are all probably
triangle.
preparations that she's had. You know, she's probably been training on her own. You know, building her armor, building
Yeah.
little
yeah.
but I feel like
weapons to be able to like project. You know,
it's like different if your boyfriend's like nearly beaten to death, and this
Yes.
man who is like punching through your powers like they're nothing. It's
You've
like,
got to step your pussy up at that point.
yeah,
right?
like
You
your
literally
brain
have to.
scatters.
Right. But
and then.
yeah. This,
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, every time I don't know if it's Stephen Yeun's just groaning through the thing, but like every time Mark gets hit, I feel like I physically feel it too. Like when they both went for that punch,
Right.
and his
Yes!
his
Oh,
bone
no,
comes
his
through
his
his
bone
hand.
snapped off.
Oof.
Oh,
there's
I
well,
was
you
like-
have a little more trauma with broken bones than
Let's explode now. No, I get that though, Alistair. Like, yeah, you know, like even when his leg was broken by him at first and he went down on the
Oh,
ground
yeah.
and was like writhing around.
he was
in
still
pain.
going. I did forget that happened
Yeah.
to him.
Right, like
by
it's
the
Well,
like-
he
end
didn't
of
need to
it,
walk either, so
He
He
didn't need
says the
hands.
same line. But yeah, but obviously when he does catch like obviously Eve and like comes down to the ground, like Stephen Yeun's acting there was just fucking amazing. Like how he was breaking down, like and like she's like looks
It
like she's
hurt.
gonna die. Like
It hurt my heart. I was like, no.
Yeah.
And like, I have always liked her, but I haven't, I'm usually a hard sell in like a romance. So I haven't like, it was like, yeah, they make sense together, but I
Right.
wasn't like fully like,
I think that's what
"Oh."
I felt. Yeah,
Yeah,
it makes
but-
sense together, but I don't. I'm not invested in this
But then
relationship.
at this point, I was like, oh, I'm so like, it was like,
I'm
you would have
fully in.
thought I had been invested since day one because I was
Yeah.
like so upset.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's
And I
crazy
think
because
yeah, go on,
oh,
Alistair.
I was telling Zach, I read a lot of progression fantasy books, and the trope that always comes up is the Asian guy with the redhead woman. And I was like, oh my gosh, this
He
is
said that to
really?
me. While we were watching, he's like, "There's always
Yeah.
an Asian guy with a redhead woman." I'm like, "I've never seen that. What are you talking about?" He's like,
It's
"Oh,
like the
I read
main character.
books."
Tell me about that. but yeah, I think as well, like the big thing is because all of us love Mark, right? Like we've been with him from the beginning. We root for him. Like, we saw him in another relationship that didn't work. And then obviously this always made sense on paper, but we were really waiting to get emotionally attached to Eve in the way that we are with Mark. Like I've always liked her, but I've never loved her. This Eve, like this is what I've been waiting to see from her from like, episode 1, when we've been questioning like, how strong is this girl?
Yeah.
We need to see a different shade of her. And then this was all shades.
Well, because I always thought that her powers were underutilized, and I think that's
Yes.
what kind of put me off of her. Is like, well, you're literally the strongest.
You could do
person
anything
in this show,
Yeah.
and you could like be doing more, and there's all these problems going on, and you're not really like handling all of them. And then now knowing that she's got a little chip in her brain, and she's got all these things, and
the spike chip.
like she's got limitations. Understanding what her limitations are, and then also getting to see what she can do.
Yes.
Makes me invested. I'm like,
Well,
okay, so how did we get rid of this
it
little
also
thing?
feels-
Yeah.
It also felt more real that that she could have died because they solved a lot of her plot lines, with
Yeah,
her
yeah.
parents and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Parents seem to
And she
finally
did get a
care,
really
yeah.
big fight, and I was like, okay, so this could actually be real because usually they like to solve all that stuff like before like killing a character off.
I mean, in this
Yeah,
show,
that's true. That's
they
true,
love
actually.
killing people, so I really was like, oh, she's dead.
Which
Yeah.
I'm surprised she even went back to her
know.
parents like
Right.
in the first place. I was
Oh,
like,
we
you
said
are giving
this.
them
When
too
she
much.
did go back to her parents, I was like, why are we here? What is this? Do we need
What
to
are
fill
you
up
getting
time?
from
I
this?
thought I've seen this scene before.
Yeah.
She's like,
Didn't they die?
I need you to accept that I'm gay. I just won't be being gay in the house.
I won't do
And I
gay
was
shit
okay,
now.
I
Yeah,
guess
well,
you won't be
don't do
gay
gay
in the
then.
house.
This is what
It's
we
like, girl,
said.
you can make a house. You can build. You already did. You have a tree house.
A really
then-
cool tree house.
Honestly, I keep the treehouse. I fucking loved it. But yeah, I mean, obviously we then get like, as you said, Mark like breaks his hand, like fighting him, which I did love. I love Mark biting into his shoulder and like spitting it out. Like I fucking loved Mark
Just
going primal
brutal.
like that.
Brutal.
Great.
Hey,
You know
though.
what? In the scene from Walking Dead just came into my head.
When Rick Grimes does it. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody were looking at him like he's freaking insane. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he is insane. At that point,
After
yes,
the
you're
whole
very
Carl
crazy.
thing, I would have
Yep.
done the same thing after what happened.
Oh, is that after Carl dies? Isn't Carl die?
No,
No,
like Carl's
no.
like fighting for his life on the ground, and then Rick, like the guy says to Rick, "What are you going to do now?" And then Rick like bites into his neck and spits it out, and everyone's
they
like,
do
"Fuck."
Some crazy shit on that show, and having Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this being one of the craziest motherfuckers in this show, it was too much for me. I couldn't.
So I just realized what I like the feeling I feel about Mark. Zach, we talk about this a lot with Sidney Prescott. It's like I just don't want to watch him get fucking tortured and like
It's such a short amount of time this has all happened. To
Yeah,
you.
it's been like 3 weeks.
yeah, it's not like every 5 years someone comes and beats a shit. It's like every week someone comes and does this to him and breaks all his limbs.
Listen, it'll all be worth it in the end. With
They
Mark's-
love to give him a big ass black eye.
Yes, every time his eyes like pussing, it's like out here. Like every
Animators are like,
single
oh
time.
great, I know what to do.
Break the teeth.
Get the eye
My
ready.
specialty.
Yeah, literally. But so I looked at all that. I loved like because I had no idea what was going on here when you saw Eve like rising up from like the ground and she's going full supernova. I'm like, what is happening? And then like when she blasted the skin like off Conquest, I was like, let's fucking go. Like that for me, I was like, whoa, what is happening?
And I immediately turned to Zach and I was like, see, she's like Willow. She
Hey,
just
Willow, it is Willow.
played him alive. Yeah.
And you're a goddess. But I liked as well, like as we were talking about Conquest a little bit earlier, and like when he leans down to Mark's ear and he's like, I am so lonely. Like everyone's scared of me. No one talks to me. No one wants to be
Again,
my friend.
and it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he says shit like that in The Walking Dead all the time.
I was waiting.
So, I just couldn't, and he's like, I'm so alone. Nobody talks to me, they say I'm crazy. They send me on all these missions. I don't even have a name.
He pulls out a bat and points it to Mark and Oliver. He's like, eeny,
Like, shit,
meeny,
what do you want me
miny.
to do,
Yeah.
sir?
I just-
Grandpappy?
And then like when he says like take it to your grave, and I'm just like fucking hell, like monologuing because he knows Mark's gonna die in this moment, so he's like, I'm gonna tell you how I really feel. It doesn't matter because you're dead anyway.
You know, a lot of superheroes always use the power of friendship, to connect to the villains.
He
So maybe
should've
that was
tried.
the time he could have used the power of friendship.
I said, do you want to be invited to a thing?
He could have gone bowling with Mark and William. Like, can you imagine? He could have been there.
I know a couple of gays. They're real fun.
Could have brought gay Mark along as well. For
It's like they also
Conquest,
like
I take
fisting.
you
I
to
know
a
you're
gay
really into
bar.
fisting.
They're gonna be all over you, Conquest. They will love you.
Can you imagine? He's like, what can I do with this fist in this bar, guys? But who's first? But yes, but I did love like even like Eve's like godly vocal, like when she's like Mark and like, you're like, what is? I loved all of that shit, and then her blasting, as I said, like the skin falling off him. Like it was nice to see her after like putting up a very good fight to then looking like she was dead to then blasting the fucking skin off this motherfucker. I'm like, yes. But then
And I love an animated like silhouette too. So
Yes.
I'm obsessed with like
raising up as well looks so
in a
fucking
color.
cool.
It has to be a girl though. Because I don't care
100%.
much about the boys.
I will say, because Buffy and X-Men have like made me weary of a woman who almost dies and comes back, I was like, oh, is she gonna be evil? And I was so glad she was not.
Yeah. And then and then kind of to round off, we got like Mark headbutting Conquest to death, like, and breaks his head in half, which again, we're going back to Kai. I wrote in my notes like this is Angstrom 2.0, like same thing again.
It was a lot at that point. We were just kind of sitting silently and watching and
wide-eyed,
like you
he kept on going and going and going,
just go for it.
him.
And then he ends up again Walking Dead. So this happened to Glenn, who's Stephen Yin.
Yep.
This happened to Glenn, so now it's happening to Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He's getting his revenge.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan to Glenn in The Walking Dead, and so it was a lot. It was a lot to look at. It was a lot to, and then even seeing his face at the end, I'm like, well, he's not dead.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I was like, literally tear that man into a million pieces. He is coming back.
He has to be in a million pieces. There has to be. You have to see certain characters a very specific way.
Yeah.
Or else it's probably a package. Or else they're not dead. And Viltrumites, you have to see them a very, very specific way, or else they're.
The only reason I thought he was dead was because the face was demolished and we didn't hear noises. So I was like, all right, he's not like gurgling, he's not like breathing. He's
right.
But I was like, but chop his head off. Like we need to chop that head off and like put it somewhere else and burn it to ash.
And we found this like about Immortal as well when Mark mentioned, a couple of episodes ago, and he's like, look, keep all of his body parts separated, otherwise he'll just come back. So like there is things in there where they're like, look, if we're gonna kill somebody, fucking separate him, burn him into a million pieces, whatever
do
you
it yourself.
do.
I feel like all the heroes and supervillains had that within the past couple episodes. I've seen so many of them just get ripped to pieces and they're like, oh, they start talking from while they're,
hey, how
half
are
their
you?
body's over here and half is over there.
Their mouth's over here, still going.
And you know what? Like, and I think that he's learning some of these lessons. Like, I'm glad that he said, hey, let's look at the body. Because I definitely expected the body to be in the lab at that point. But like,
I still didn't believe it. I looked at that body. I'm like, that doesn't look the same. No.
I was worried it was going to be
Cecil-
like Conquest wakes up and kills Cecil. And
Right, saying like grabs him. I was waiting for it.
I do wish we would have seen. Oh, I think that was the last episode though, with the big fight with Cecil and who's the fucking robot? Donald, whatever.
Oh,
No,
Donald,
no.
his sidekick, like his
an
right hand
Invincible,
man.
the bad Invincible.
No. Anyway, at the Pentagon, the big because we just like pick up with Cecil at the Pentagon.
Oh,
after all
you
the
mean that-
Invincibles come in and stuff
not
like
they
that.
have
the
together.
Invincible.
I'm real. There's a lot of fights happening here.
Yeah.
Everybody just has to follow me. But I was real disappointed we didn't get to see that fight because you just see Cecil all fucked up. But I would have liked to have seen how he got fucked up.
Right.
This season for me has felt more traditionally superhero because that felt very like there was when I was younger, I loved the crossover events, like something like Infinity War, where it's like, ooh, the Avengers, the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and I feel that felt very where it's like, all right, we're seeing the main fights, but we're gonna like check in and show you like, well, these heroes did it, but like they're bloody and beaten up, and I like that where it's like we're seeing different parts of it. Also, apparently, Adam, I don't know if you know this. I know you've read part of the comics, but like the baby superhero that dies in the previous
Oh,
episode,
yeah.
apparently in the comics is killed by Conquest.
Yeah. Because, like, yeah, loads of people were tweeting pictures of that baby saying, send the baby in. We know what happens then. It's like, fuck, that's a bit dark.
Conquest already did it all of it already.
Yeah.
I saw freeze frames of victims as we were going through them. It's insane.
It's dramatic. Jesus.
That was far too much for me. The beach with him pushing his head through all
Yes.
the
The beach was
victims.
hard.
Far
That
too much.
was
I just
tough.
didn't.
Yeah.
Having that done a second time just doesn't fit for me. It
It's
doesn't
just-
work for
yeah.
me. I get that it's brutal.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
think it's
But
just
there's
very
no lesson to be
Viltrumite.
learned from that.
The fact that they both did it, I was like, is this just a Viltrumite thing? You know,
I was
like,
thinking
hey,
that too.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that
is
it
there a
could, it could-
guidebook?
Yeah,
You know,
so
like
that's the only thing that could make it worth it, I guess. Is it just realizing that's just a Viltrumite trait, or that's the things that they do. So the next time one of them shows up on Earth, we're like, how do we prevent this? Everybody spread out. Everybody distance between everybody.
Here's a Nissa. Everybody run. But,
And
like,
I mean, Zach, it's again, it's like the whole Sidney Prescott thing where it's like, I don't want to see this happen to him again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just I liked him. I love Mark. I don't want him like having this happen
Scream
once every
7
2
in
years.
theaters February, everybody.
Yeah.
and I think as well, like, seeing like at the start of the season, like when we saw how well Mark was like going into the training, he was getting stronger, like he was getting better and better and better, to then like see him at this point where, he puts up a bit of a fight to start with and then gets his ass handed to him again. I'm like, oh man, like we need that heroic moment for Mark where we cheer him on. I feel like we're doing that for so many other characters, kind of except Mark right now, where like every time it brings him back to a traumatic moment. I'm like, I get that Mark still has lessons to learn, which is one of the big things for me that I underline about this season, is that they really labor that point a bit too much for me. But I'm like, give him some other way to learn that
No,
lesson.
don't teach me
put
no
him
more
through that
lessons.
trauma.
I've learned my fucking lessons. No more
it's also
GED.
because
I'm done. Done.
Doesn't need any more trauma.
the thing is, it's also because everything always ends up on Mark's shoulders.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that
He's
can
the
do as much
strongest.
as him.
Yeah.
And now we see kind of maybe Adam Eve is gonna take some of that load now.
Well, I
hopefully.
think so.
But like Cecil was like, hey, we need to build up teams. We need to do that. Y'all need all the
Don't
billions
ask
y'all
him.
were investing in
Don't
training.
ask him. Yes.
Wait, all the billions that you're investing in training Invincible can be spent investing training teams to take down Viltrumites or people of that caliber.
And I think that's what we're leaning in towards here as well.
Yeah.
Because like Cecil needs to be brought in with the whole coalition idea. Like I will say this episode, the whole time I was like, where the fuck is Nolan and Alan? Like, where are they?
Oh,
Because they're
I
supposed
kept
to be coming
thinking
up.
Nolan was going to show up.
Same. I was like, Nolan's
very
going to
sure
come
about it.
down. He's going to like save.
I was like,
them or
isn't this what
something.
they were preparing for?
Literally.
Like-
And like that's what they're building up, the whole coalition of planets. Like we've had that other Viltrumite who revealed himself to Alan. We've got Alan. We see Battle Beast later on. We see so many other characters where they're building this thing up. Cecil should be in that. He should be like, right, let's fucking go. Let's build up and get this big defense. It isn't just up to Mark every single time. We've got these people now. Let's pull together and fight these motherfuckers. But yeah, it lands on Mark's shoulders every time.
I'm theorizing right here that Nolan is just going to come back in season 4 with another baby.
Probably.
Alan's baby?
Probably. That's his coalition.
With Alan's
He's just-
baby.
He's
Alan's
just,
baby.
He's just got super babies running everywhere. The thing is, Mark is just really getting it from all sides. He's not catching any kind of a break because he has so a great thing, right, is like at the beginning of this season we see him like training and so we're supposed to get a payoff moment at the end of the season, like traditionally, where we get to see that payoff moment where he's like stronger, he's more advanced in his skills, and he is, and we get to see that. But the payoff is not there because I just feel terrible watching him have to do that and having to headbutt Grandpappy until he's fucking like mangled but still not dead. And so he has that he's dealing with. He's gotten his head pushed through, a bunch more victims. Now, in addition to that, how many 12 other Marks came in and fucked everybody else up too. So everybody already hates this guy. He's never going to be able to show his invincible face here again. It's on every side. Where does he even move? And now he has people coming in and saying, hey, it's your responsibility now. You got to lead the Guardians of the Galaxy and all these different things. And it's like, shut the fuck
I want to
up.
see
like,
paychecks.
There's no more. Yes. Show me money.
But I also need to see, honestly, I need to see people checking in with Mark. Like, I need people to ask Mark, like, what he wants to do and, like, how he feels about things. Because it's always, he's been dictated to all the time. Mark, you're the strongest. You've got to do this. Go.
Yeah.
And that was the big conflict between him and Cecil in this. Like, one of the conflicts between him and Cecil was about that. Obviously, you know, there was a violation. There's a lot of other stuff going on there as well. But, like, Mark is constantly being told, you are the strongest. You are our weapon. You have to do this. And Mark never catches a fucking break. Like, never.
Well, and as a person, as a human living on planet Earth, I am voting his ass off of Earth. Like, I am done saying you can't stay here anymore.
But
you can't
the
be
Viltrumites
here.
are going to come either way.
I get it. But I'm thinking from all of their perspective, I don't want his ass on this planet anymore.
Well,
like he has to
I'd be
go.
like,
And then I'll regret it later
stay on the
because it'll
moon.
happen.
And then,
But yes,
you
the
know,
moon is fine up there, but when they come attacking you and you're for the first defense, you can see them from up there. Adam,
that's why they need to
build
have
you a little
layers of
tree house on the
superheroes.
moon, a little moon house. You can have a moon house.
They need to have metropolitan superheroes who deal with more local stuff, and then like sky superheroes, and then space superheroes.
For season 4, I better see all of this addressed. I don't want to see anything just skirting by any of this, because there are so many things here that happens that have such big consequences. We better not gloss over nothing, because this is insane the way we left these characters in this world.
Yep. No, like, I mean, like, that's one thing about season 2, which, you know, like, for me, out of the 3 seasons, season 2's maybe been the weakest, but we did get a lot of that downtime when we saw, like, Debbie walking through her trauma through the city and then, like, trying to, like, you know, work things out. Her and Mark, like, came together and bonded through that and started to, like, help each other through that. We definitely need to see something
What
happen.
scenes do we even get anymore? Because Debbie walking barefoot through the streets of Chicago, that doesn't cut it for what just happened.
So I haven't read the comics. I haven't read the comic books yet, but I have the first and second volumes now. And I need to check when to start so that I don't spoil it for myself. But what I would like is for season 4, for them to have a time jump.
Oh, okay.
I think I would.
I think it'd refresh it
because
a
we
lot.
did get
Where they've had downtime away
the
from this
first
life for
time
a while.
we got all of that. I think I do. You know what? I agree with that. I think a time jump would be really refreshing.
To answer your question, Alistair, you can read all of. Do you have like the compendium, like the really thick?
Yeah. I have volume 1 and 2 of the compendium.
You can read volume 1. That's absolutely fine. You can read maybe the first quarter of volume 2 and then stop. But yeah, you'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, like, we'll talk briefly as well about Rex's funeral. Like, I was just this is tough because Rex, as I've said in this season, has been built up to be a much more likable character. Like season 2, when, like, you know, he was getting shot and it looked like he was going to die, and I was like, "Fuck, am I loving Rex? Do I not want him to die now?" Like, I was like, "Whoa!" Like, I love this character. And then in this season, you know, even the little things going on with Ray, like, you know, I wasn't fully invested in their relationship, but it was nice to see a different side of Rex, which I really liked. And like his friendship with Mark was really growing strong. Like the way he spoke to Eve was really nice to see that side of him. And then like just him sacrificing himself, like in the last episode, I just really felt, and I was like, "Oh man, we didn't see a body." But then obviously they do have the funeral for him here. And just when Eve goes up to try and talk about him and she just can't do the eulogy and just breaks down, fuck, like that just hit hard, man.
Yeah, I did think of you, Adams. You were like, "We better see a funeral," and I was like, "Oh, we have no time for a funeral."
Right.
But we did.
Yeah, and we, you know,
Which I'm glad they did that.
Same, because like 1, he deserves it, but 2, and you know, Ian and I were texting about this, like because we keep seeing like in this show where it's like somebody dies, and now they're back, or like somebody's come back, or like we keep
so
seeing
much
that.
happening.
I know,
so
and
that,
like
we
I'm
I'm
need
surprised we got a funeral.
we need to see the
then-
consequences of death.
I felt a little weird when he renamed himself to Rex.
Oh, like Rudy.
But I
Rex.
know he's also
I
he's
know.
genetically Rex.
Thank you for
and
making
that's
this
fine.
about you.
But I was like,
I would feel really weird if like
Yeah, Sam.
Adam died and Zach was like, "Well, I'm gonna name myself Adam." now." Like
am
that's
now
weird.
I'd be you do
But
my
it-
accent as well.
it
Yaris.
makes a little bit more sense when he's genetically the same. But at the
No,
same
it doesn't
time,
make
it's
sense.
No.
It does not make sense. It
I'd be
didn't work.
popping out that
Yeah.
coffin like, what
Eve
the
should have
fuck
done it
did
too.
you just
Eve
say?
should have gone up there and be like, "I will also."
I
be
forgot about the
Rex."
genetically same thing.
We are all Rex.
It gives Wicked where she says, "I'm
They
no longer
dance
Glinda.
together.
I'm."
That's like
Galinda.
once I remember when we were gonna, after my pug Adam died, my mom wanted to get another one and she wanted to name him Adam. And I was like, we cannot name our next dog the same name as our dead dog. She was like, why not? I like the name. And I was like, if I had died and you had another kid, would you have named him Ian? And she was like, yeah, I like the name. And I was like, well, fair enough.
Listen, Ian, listen.
Should have been like
mom,
Ian 2.0.
my mother had a budgie called Homer. When Homer died, she got another one, Homer 2. That's
There are just
literally
some
what she
names
called
that are
him, I
like
swear to
great,
God.
you know. So
Yes, we had a bird called Homer 2 flying around the house. That was literally a thing. But yeah, so like the funeral, yeah, I mean, it was tough to watch. Like, I do love Rex, and obviously he will be missed. Like, it'd be interesting to see what happens going forward, whether he does magically return, but then it will undercut this scene, which is one of the big things that I don't like what a lot of media does when it's like, this person's died, we grieve them, no at the back. So like, you know, I'll miss him, but I'll understand the importance of like keeping him out, because we do need to feel the consequence of death of some of these characters rather than them coming back all the time. For all that, we do get that with nameless civilians, and we see all of that kind of genocide that's happening with our characters that we're attached to here. I feel like we kind of needed this.
Yeah.
But I liked as well, like,
he was hot too.
fucking hot, like so hot.
He was naked the most in the series.
When he was like,
seen Mark's
dicks
ass
out.
yet? We haven't seen Mark's ass yet, right?
I was
seen
really
Mark's
hoping we
ass.
would when him and Eve were naked.
Listen,
I know.
we've seen everybody else. What?
Listen,
I mean, his outfit's definitely. I mean,
mean,
I'll
the snow and
send
everything.
you some art, Zach.
I was looking at that the other day, and I'm telling you, woof. Needs
I
some
said
of
that to
please.
Adam. I was like, I like that in every, like, whether it's like porny art, whether it's just like cutesy fan art. Mark always has a nice.
I just
ass.
don't like the Mark. So I've looked some of that up, and I just don't like the Omni-Man Mark art. I think that's his dad.
It's
fucking beat the shit out of
incesty,
him.
yeah.
I can't stop thinking it's incesty. I can't stop thinking that he beat the shit out of him. And
of course they
fucking-
do that. Of
I
course
fucking
they do
hate
that.
Omni-Man. They have
you
some
seen-
weird Mark Debbie ones too.
Have you-
and it
have you
just-
seen the
it
Alan
gets a
porn?
little icky.
Have you seen the Alan where he's got like 2 dicks, like one above the other?
Sure
'Cause he's an
have.
That
alien.
would be nice.
I've seen all the ones Zach's talking about too.
Ian's got them on ready. He's got them ready.
Ian drew them.
yeah. If I had the talent to draw them, I would.
Listen, in my notes here, like when
the
they
Slarefest Patreon.
when Eve and Mark are in bed together and like she like removes his clothing, I'm like, she's sitting. Is she pegging him here? Like, is she?
No.
she's
That's a
sitting
reach
behind him
around.
right
That's
now.
a very hot reach around.
Yes, because he
that's
can't do
very
anything,
nice.
right? Like he's got
I
broken
was,
arms, broken
I was
legs.
like a little like, maybe we don't have sex right now. Like where he is
I
like,
was thinking
That's
that.
what
I
Zach
was-
said. That's what Zach
I mean,
said.
I was like, this is
not the time. No,
yeah, it's just
And I was
not-
like, this is the time.
No,
I
is
don't know
he-
if I
is he
get a
getting
boner
that
in
up?
this moment.
Right, I don't know that I
No.
would.
All the blood's going
I'm-
to other parts of the body. Like,
Wait, so why were the clothes melting at the end?
well, this is the thing. So like,
Okay.
there's no no confirmation of this, but I just put in my notes there, is this a side effect of Eve's new powers? And it's going to be something that's explored in season 4, because right now the way Eve is, obviously we've seen if she suffers trauma, she can go supernova and basically do anything. But like, because that's happened here, is that starting to bleed into the effects of her powers now? Because she is a lot more powerful now than what she was season 1. So is this a side effect that we're going to explore more in season 2 and how she's going to handle that? I don't know, but it was interesting to like kind of drop it without saying what it was.
And I
She's
will. I actually was like, huh. Is that just a thing that happened? Like, I really was like, because we just kind of like kept going, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it just like is.
Was it supposed to be like the atoms breaking down or something like
I
that?
think-
Maybe like
yeah.
the traffic cone turning to pudding.
I just thought she was really wet. I think that was
also,
a
I
bad
was
joke.
also
That was a bad
thinking
joke.
it was like a horny joke. Well, I thought it could be like a horny joke in there.
Yeah, like the clothes off and making her horny. But
So in comic books, a thing that I don't like is, this is why I never really liked Jean Grey or Scarlet Witch, even though like gays love them. In the comics, it was always that they were super powerful and that was their downfall. Like every fucking time Jean or Scarlet Witch got like too powerful, it would be like, oh, they go crazy and then they die and then they come back a month later. But I really hate that. We do that a lot with women in comic books, and I hope we're not doing that with
yeah,
I hope we don't, because
Yeah,
I'd like to
same.
see. I like her to be super powerful and us like getting to know what she can do now.
Yeah.
And I think her only sort of barrier needs to be those barriers, her limitations. I
Yeah.
don't think she's ever like exhibited slipping into madness. I think she's always had a very good head on her shoulders.
Yep.
And even when it's been fucking annoying, and I'm like, just Adam something. Just do something. She won't
something.
do it because she's
Up and
supposed to
Adam.
be good, right? I don't want
Well,
to see her take that turn.
You know, and I think you do make a good point, because I think especially when they make somebody super powerful, they always have to like plot armor it afterwards to be
Right.
like, how do we
Yes.
actually bring them back? Which honestly is kind of what they did to Willow, in a lot of ways. But they just like made it as like an addiction thing. But
Yeah.
you know, like
I was actually just talking to
something-
someone about that with Willow because they were like, "Yeah, I don't like what they do with Willow because I don't like that she
I like
doesn't."
it. Yeah,
like-
I like it. Love it.
I mean, I don't mind because she does get there.
I think the plot makes sense with Willow in a way that it doesn't make sense with a lot I other characters that they do the same thing with, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just how they take care of it. So I'm hoping that they take care of it well with Adam
Same.
Eve, I guess.
And like,
Yeah.
I mean, if we pick up in season 4 and she's evil and has like a whole mystical thing and she's trying to kill whatever Shove is, whatever that girl is, you know, we know where we're headed with Adam Eve, I guess. But
listen,
let's
yeah.
hope we don't get there.
And like she needed to like I like as well because like Ian and I were saying this like she now is definitely in a point of where like she can hold her fucking own against Viltrumites, so she's like one of the best allies that Cecil has got right now when those motherfuckers do come, or if they take
Why
the
can't
fight
she
to them.
lead the Guardians?
I
Why
know.
can't she do it for a little bit? Give Mark a vacation.
But she quit a long time ago. She
Yeah,
hasn't
she
been
quit and
wanting to
came
do
back.
it.
She's studying architecture now.
I said this a lot, but like her powers are now we know more powerful, but her powers are a lot like Invisible Woman in the comics. And I kept saying to Adam, what I wanted was there's like a what if, one of the what if issues is like, what if Deadpool killed the Marvel Universe? And like Invisible Woman and like Wolverine are two of the last heroes standing that he hasn't killed yet. And it opens with like them as the last ones. It's like them and like a handful of other heroes. And the way she kills Deadpool is she puts a little bubble in his brain and just expands it till his head blows up. But because Deadpool has a healing factor, it grows back and then he kills her. But I'm like, could Eve do that? I would like to see her do that. Like, just create a thing in a Viltrumite's head and...
Yeah, I think her stuff is like super interesting to me now because I do want to see what more she can do
Same.
and like how she can be taking people out and like give her more bad guys to go up against in the next season, and so that she can like try out different
and
sort
like
of methods.
And we had that, right? Like at the prison when like her and Mark were fighting together and like sharing the powers. I love that because again, that was a different side of Adam Eve that we hadn't seen up until that point. So like, you know, put her more in a leader role, put her alongside Mark because she's very much up there now. She's not a sidekick. You know, like she is like a main character in this fight. And like Mark can only benefit from having her powers alongside him. So like absolutely getting them out there fighting together. But
it also seems like for Eve, like one of the things that could really make her powers really work well is, you know, she's learning architecture, you know, and I think she should, you know, expand from that, learn how to like build different kinds of cages, you know, learn ropes, you know, like how to tie people down better so that she could like build those ropes.
oh, she's going to learn that from Mark. You trust me.
Just like expand her repertoire, you know, have that bag of tricks and be able to use that bag of tricks to be able to, you know, be more versatile.
Well, I think bunker first.
Oh, what?
I'm just I used to get a bunker first. And I'm just happy that she can fight a lot because I don't like Mark having to be like, you need to get out of here anytime a hero comes to help him.
Yeah.
Love that. That's why I love this relationship. Like anything that I do love from this relationship comes from, well, I don't have to protect you.
Yeah.
Like, you're here. You can handle yourself. If you're over there, I don't have to like.
Yeah.
I'm fucking glad Amber's gone. I hated the Amber relationship because of that, right? And we already have his mom. His mom is already the one where he's like, I gotta protect her, right?
And his best friend.
I don't want his
Yeah,
girlfriend
and
to be like-
William.
oh yeah, I forgot.
Well, William's got Rick as well, to be fair, but
Rick is William's got Rick now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and I fucking love that, right? She can fight alongside him. She's gonna save his ass a bunch of times. I know.
and
it.
she does, to be fair, like she does.
And she's like, am I naked?
Yeah,
Yes,
she's laying on the
you
ground.
are.
I loved it.
I
She's
did like
am I
that.
naked? But like she's just laughing about it, like so fucking good. Go off, Queen. But yeah, I mean, I did like the needle drop of Nine Inch Nails playing when we got like this little montage of like the sequence, right? Yeah, Ian, what was that?
So weirdly, I mean, I know I just brought up Rick and Morty earlier. Rick and Morty season 2 ends with like a depressing, the aliens have taken over and like a Nine Inch Nails song is playing.
That's
which
weird.
I thought was like, I was like, huh, that's weird.
Everything's blurring together. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this montage, like we saw the sequence before, so like they're rising, like Battle Beast is found, like in space, Angstrom's restored and working with those aliens, like Cecil has Conquest down underground to question about the Viltrum Empire, and like all of this, like again, like so much happened in this episode, and we've still got all of this to take into the next season. Like, fuck.
Is there a point to Angstrom being so like they won't let us just
let him go.
Let him
leave
go.
Is
Just
there in the
kill
comics
him.
a point to him being
I haven't gotten that
so
far.
involved? Okay.
I haven't gotten that far, but I fucking know I'm going to burn those pages because I don't care.
I think we're especially doing a show that comes out, a year apart and only getting like 8 episodes. I think we can lose some of the characters and plots, and I think that's one we should.
We have to,
because like it feels like Summer Bishel said in our Angel coverage, and I forget what about the actress who plays Kate. She was like, oh, her character feels like she just signed a 13-episode contract, and that's why she has to be in some of these episodes. That's what it feels like with Angstrom, and I'm like, he's not a main character. Why do we keep going back to him? Like,
I know. And as much as I like Sterling K. Brown, like great actor, great voice actor, but like let the man go. Like we've done everything that we need to do with Angstrom in season 2. Like Mark's learned these lessons. Like let that go. Like he's just hanging on like a thorn, like in his side.
Well, and Angstrom and Powerpuff, what's it?
Powerplex.
Bubbles.
Powerplex. Angstrom and Powerplex have a similar sort of like reason why, you know, they've both been affected by the superheroes and it makes them angrier. And but Powerplex does it better. So we already have it. Yeah. We have it, and that'll, we still got this guy around, and I'm assuming he's going to come back out season 4. So pick one.
Powerplex was definitely more justified compared to like Angstrom, because you remember Angstrom, he decided to take his helmet off when Mark was getting pummeled to death. So
and he acts like that shit wasn't his fault. It's also Powerplex also killed his family, and it's his own fault. So
so the
but he
parallels
wants
are
to
there.
act like that's Mark's fault too.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
But would he have killed his family without Mark?
Well,
probably. He seemed a little unstable.
I mean, that man needed help. That man needed therapy fast. Like there was a lot of issues going on outside of Mark with that man. But and then the after. I mean, I will explain the after credits because that might not have come to anyone's mind. But if you remember way back in season 1, there was a character called Damien Darkblood who was like the devil who wore like the fedora. He was like the detective that Cecil hired to like look into, keep an eye on he was keeping a notebook and like he was keeping an eye on Nolan to try and find out about him. And then Cecil like banished him and sent him to hell. In the comics, that's the last you ever see of Damien Darkblood. What was happening right now, like I was like, what the fuck is this? Because this is not all brand new. So whatever they're going to do here, Robert Kirkman in an interview said, like, this was always one character he wanted to explore a little bit more of, but he never had the opportunity to do. So now he's using the show as a way of doing that. But all this, I want to ask what your thoughts are on this. So like, obviously, he's like doing that summoning thing. He talks to like his little devil guy. He mentions about like, oh, there's a blackened heart. I can conjure him here. And like, there's a really powerful surface dweller. Who did you think he was talking about?
I don't fucking know, but I'm glad somebody's giving us Mephisto.
I have no clue.
I have no idea.
I mean, in my comment, I was like, does he mean Mark? Like after the way he ends the conversation with Oliver, when he's like, you know what, you're right. Like I do need to start killing people. Does he mean Conquest? Like, does he mean Oliver? Like, is he fucking talking about Angstrom again? Like, I just
assumed he meant Mark, honestly.
Same, but it could be like a red herring. Do you know what I mean? It could be anyone really at this point. But yeah, just to let you know, like that going forward, whatever that is, that's brand new. No idea what's going on there. So I guess we'll see with that story.
I do like a little, mysticism, like demon.
A little bit of magic.
No, I do like it too. I just but I was still reeling from the episode that I was just like kind of.
It's just a lot. See, these seasons need to be longer. These need to be longer because it's just too much. If you're going to now add another baddie.
Yeah, I know. And then keep an old body and like add another body.
I didn't dislike the like cutscenes, but there were a little too many scenes where it's like, wait, what? Oh, what?
Yeah.
And like
I don't remember all of them, honestly.
The Battle Beast one I forgot about, and I was like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, the Battle Beast one.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Beast and Battle Beast though.
I do. I love that character.
But I don't even fucking. I didn't remember where I was like, I don't know why he's in space. I thought he was dead.
I did remember that
because he killed the Viltrumite.
Yeah, he floated off fighting the Viltrumite into space, and then like Nolan and Alan were just chatting to each other, like, "Do you think he'll be okay?" Yeah, he'll be fine. So yeah, he kind of went into hibernation after that fight, and then he was found by them aliens. But yeah, we're kind of at the end there, guys. So like that was an episode. I am exhausted from watching it. I mean, there was so much that happened, but I want to get everyone's kind of like overall kind of final thoughts on the episode and then give me a rating out of 10. So Ian, where do you sit on this as a finale, and then what would you give it out of 10?
I think an 8.5 and it loses 0.5. It might have been a 9, but I just, as Zach and I keep saying, I'm tired of watching Mark get fucking tortured, and I just need him to get a little bit of a break. I also need the superheroes in this universe to be a lot less useless.
Yeah, it's fair.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought this season was way better than last season. It fell into some comic booky tropes, but I am a comic booky
Season
gal,
threes are
so
thriving this year.
Yeah,
they really are.
They
Yeah.
are. They
Yellow
are.
Jackets has been great. This
Right.
was great. Yeah, it's like
White Lotus.
hit a little bit of a sophomore slump, and then so yeah.
Yeah, nice. Alistair, what did you think?
So I would give it an 8 out of 10, and I reserve the right to change the score if anything that happens in season 4 changes my perspective on
Listen,
this
we'll be
episode.
back. We'll be back, so.
Because it might. I think it was a great episode. I think that the actors and the writers did an awesome job. It does feel like a lot concentrated into one, and it was hard for me to like pummel after pummel after pummel for me as a viewer to recover and be able to take everything else in, you know?
I did feel like I was having to recover along with him.
So,
I'm fucking tired.
so I mean, I felt exhausted after watching it. I was like, fuck. Like, if someone
Conquest
punched
call
me.
a break to like
Yeah.
5
He said no. He said you can't say nothing. No.
Yeah, so Zach, what were your kind of general thoughts, and then what was your rating?
Goodness, I'm just not good at rating. But I feel like an 8 and 8.5 is pretty solid for this. I think there was definitely room for improvement. I think it just failed from just having a little bit too much going on. But especially with this episode, they really just tacked those on, so I think it was better because then you don't really have to pay attention to all the things that were tacked on, and they'll come up later and they'll remind you what those things were.
Right.
But like the episode seemed very it was very direct. We weren't doing too much in this episode. It was all the fight, and then it was post fight, and I appreciated that. It lands at a solid 8 for me, and yeah, I liked it. I think it was like a very solid season 3.
Yeah, nice.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Can I interject real quick because we didn't touch upon this? Because I know Mark is going to be fucking furious when he sees Cecil's keeping Conquest in all that steel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 thoughts on that I kept forgetting to share. I was like, oh, let me chime in when we get to that. But we did. 2 thoughts are, I understand why Cecil did it. He's not incorrect because I do need to learn more about the Viltrumites. 2, I don't understand why they think anything will hold that man because I just feel like
he's gonna break.
And the way
out
they
of
explained it too, they're like, if he even twitches, this place is gonna
And
blow
it's
up.
like,
and
okay.
then what? You're gonna release him?
Yeah, helping him
This
get
place
out.
blows up and he's out of there.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Like, what were you gonna say, Alistair?
Oh, I just want to tack one more thing onto that I thought I was gonna bring up later, but
Yeah.
Mark hasn't told Debbie that oh gosh, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name.
What, the baby?
Which character?
The husband.
Oh, no,
Nolan?
Nolan's
Omniman.
still alive.
That Nolan is supposedly already executed.
Supposedly did, yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Right.
supposedly, right.
Right. And so that's a conversation they're gonna have to have as well. But
Yeah.
but
And this man was such a liar too, because he wasn't even invited to the execution. They don't invite him to nothing.
It's like nobody wants to be my friend.
I know. And I mean,
I don't get to see the public executions. I don't get to see the world conquering.
Well, Conquest, sir, maybe look inward while no one's inviting you. If Viltrumites think you're too crazy, maybe there's a problem.
yeah, I know, right? Jesus
Especially when they're
Christ.
down in numbers already and they don't even want you around.
I know.
Misty. They treat you like Misty.
He was actually number 51, and they were like, no, there's only 50 of us. There's no others.
Let's fudge that number. Don't include him.
right. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, it's wild the response that this finale's had online, because, like, you know, Ian, I said to you, like, on IMDb, it's like sitting at 10 out of 10, and it's the highest rated episode of like anything alongside the ending of Breaking Bad, which blows my fucking mind. But at the same time, IGN give it 4 out of 10, which I'm like, what? Like, that seems super harsh. Yeah, like that. That's insane.
Some people are in a bad mood sometimes.
I don't know. A lot of people haven't been liking how IGN's been rating things lately.
Yeah, they're calling them.
But I think they do it for clickbait.
Yeah,
a little bit sometimes.
I think
like,
maybe.
Why would you do that? You click on it.
Yeah, it's been getting torn to shreds. But anyway, yes, this finale, this season, like, I feel like I'm back on course. Like, I was saying this to Ian before, like, season 1 did so well of like kind of raising the stakes and like getting us up there with like Omni-Man doing everything that he did. And then, like, you know, we really went on that journey of like, oh my fucking God, like he wiped out all of the Guardians. Anyone could die at any point. Shit is getting real before anyone can even blink. And then like season 2, like don't get me wrong, I still really enjoyed. It did take a little bit of a lull for me. And then like Angstrom wasn't really the big bad that I wanted him to be. He was kind of just there. Like it was more of a plot device for Mark. And then like this season, I felt like, okay, we're getting back to like the juicy stuff with characters that I really like the Mark versus Cecil stuff. I really fucking enjoyed that because, you know, Zach and I said on our episode, like it does make you question where would you sit in that, you know, disagreement. Mark has a point to be angry at Cecil. Cecil has a point to have done what he did, you know, and like, so they really fleshed out Cecil's character. I really fucking loved it for that. And as you said, Ian, there at the end, like with Cecil, like he has a right to know, like every single thing he can know about the Viltrum Empire, he needs to know 2 weeks ago. So like, I get why he did it, but yeah, as soon as that guy wakes up and blinks, he's busting the fuck out of there.
Because it's not even that like this man, that they have to worry about Viltrumites now. Now they have to worry about fucking people from alternate realities that are half Viltrumites showing up and fucking murdering everybody. It's just
what happens.
Yes, we need every bit of research done that we can get. It's and I'm, you know, I was really happy that because I've been really upset with Omni-Man, really upset with Nolan. Like I took this really personally, how he treated Mark and Debbie at the end of season 1.
So did I.
So personally, like when he called her a dog, I've never been able to let go of that. So I'm glad he hasn't really been in 2 or 3. And I feel like that was the right move. And if he comes back in season 4, I will be ready at that point. But I needed a break.
Yeah, I think they did it right here.
But you know what? Debbie's happy now with her new
but he's gonna die.
boyfriend.
He's not gonna live.
No, I'm just saying that after that, Debbie should not take him back.
Look,
if
he deserves all the
absolutely
happiness
not.
in the
If
world.
she ends up taking him back, I'm gonna be so
There's no
mad.
redemption in my heart for that man.
No.
I said that earlier in the season, didn't I, Adam? Because I was like, I don't understand why Mark even has anything remotely like, he's like, well, Dad just, and it's like, no, Dad is a piece of shit. He
I
called your
would have
mother
been
his
showing
pet.
Oliver all of the YouTube videos.
Yes,
Like,
everything.
That shit is documented.
You want to talk about Dad Oliver? Watch these videos right now.
Yes,
like,
yes.
fuck. But
Dad
like,
used my body to kill everyone in the subway. What do you think of that, Oliver?
yes, exactly. But it's nice as well, like to have like, and I did like Oliver in this season. I will admit, like I liked the journey that we went on with Oliver. Like, you know, when it looked like he was going to go down that darker path, and then Mark and Debbie were able to steer him off that, and then you know he's defending Mark later on, and he gets away.
I still think he will.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. But I liked him in these final fights when he's like, no, I'm stepping up to save my family, and I really liked him for that.
Well, it's also Invincible being like, at the end, he's like, you know what, Oliver, you were right.
Yeah.
I should kill people.
That's
And I was
How
like,
crazy is it that they really sent him out in that little superhero outfit that they gave him with the clear Omni-Man on it?
Yes. And he's like, I thought it was
that
for
was a little
Oliver.
crazy.
Is that insane? Because people would point that out. They'd be like,
But I
because
think
he was
that's
what, Omni Kid or Omni Boy?
Omni Kid, yeah. And they were like, wait, you told me it was just for Oliver.
He would be
But,
just
it looks
death
the
on
damn
Twitter.
same.
Yeah,
It's
exactly
the
the
same fucking thing.
Did you make them out of Omni-Man's clothing? But that's a really good point you actually raised there as well, like Alastair, about like that conversation he has at the end, because that's one thing that I kept saying about this season that I'm like getting a little bit tired of them laboring, which is like Mark needs to learn the point that everything is not black and white. You know, like Mark's like, no, these people need to go to prison. They've done bad. And Cecil all the time has said to him, look, like everything isn't black and white like that, Mark. Like sometimes you need to use whatever resources you get to try and save the world. Like you can be the guy who makes everyone happy, or you can be the person that saves the world. And like Mark had so many instances to learn this when like Cecil points out, well, you killed Angstrom. Should I lock you up? And then Oliver's killed some people. Should I lock up Oliver now? And it's taken so long for Mark to finally get the point. So I like that we kind of cap this off at the end where he's like, you know what? Yeah, Oliver, you were right. Actually, I need to kill people that deserve it. Yeah.
Oliver knew it before anybody. He's purple.
Except for the
he don't know
Blue
black and white.
Twins. I want the Blue Twins back.
I mean,
But they're like all copies of each other, right? So they'll pop up every season. I love the Mueller twins.
the Mueller twins. I mean, we'll
Mueller,
see.
yes, the Mueller.
Yeah, the Muller-like twins. But yeah, I had 8.5 out of 10. I was like on the cusp of 9, but there was a couple of things that just let it down a little bit for me. But for me, like I feel like we're back on track. This is the Invincible I like. It's like firing off on all cylinders. Episode 7 and episode 8 back to back were just brilliant for me as like a finale. I see them both as a finale in a way. But I just really loved it. It was high quality.
But the next beat down, let it happen to somebody else.
Yes,
Somebody else
honestly.
needs a beat down.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
is gonna
problem.
be-
These heroes suck.
I know.
No one can take the beat down.
Maybe it'll be Nolan getting a beat down from other Viltrumites.
I would love it.
time.
I would love
That's
it. Nolan
fine.
deserves
Yeah,
it.
do that.
Deserved.
Let him do it.
Let Mark go.
I don't know. A lot of people
Mark
do
can watch
get a
from
beat down
a
on the
mountain
show.
going, oh no.
Well,
A lot
usually-
of people do get a beat down.
The other people who get the beat down, they're dead.
Listen, put Mark on a beach where he can enjoy himself, where he hasn't been used to kill people. He can sit there
Get
with
drunk.
his top off. We can just
I
watch
don't think
him
if
do that.
he can ever sit anywhere comfortably relaxed ever again.
Too much trauma.
He's done.
Yeah.
He's done. He's gonna be rocking back and forth.
He's been mentally and physically beaten to death in these
Yeah.
3 seasons, to be fair.
And
But,
Adam Eve is trying to get it on. He is traumatized,
he
ma'am.
ain't getting hard. Fucking hell.
I'm like,
You're
this is
trying
nice.
to distract him in the best way possible.
I appenit the sentiment, but please just let me lay here depressed.
Let's lay here naked and just
Stop
stare
playing
at the
with it.
ceiling.
It's not doing anything. Nothing's
Yeah.
happening.
If anything, it's going further in.
I'm
But,
just thinking of that little boy whose arm ripped off. That's all the only face I have in my head, Adam. So,
But no, top tier stuff. But I want to say a big thank you to all 3 of you for coming back on, especially to both you, Zach and Ian, for doing a couple of episodes for me. Alastair, obviously, thank you as well for jumping on here and doing seasons 2 and 1 as well. Really do appreciate it. Had so much fun covering this. This has been top tier. Such good writing. So much to enjoy in season 3 of Invincible. I'm so pleased to have it back at this quality. And yeah, honestly, big thank you to all 3 of you for doing this. It's been super fun.
That's fun.
yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having
man.
us.
All right. Well, let's kind of combine Zach and Alistair together. Where can everybody find you online with your stuff?
We do a lot of stuff. So if you search Zachary Patton Garcia or Alastair Patton Garcia, we'll pop up. And don't search Alastair Patton Garcia. He's got all his shit locked down now because he's in a transitional period.
having to
right now.
rebrand.
So yes, so just search AZB. We'll pop up. And then we do a podcast with my buddy Ian Carlos Crawford here called it's not called Yellow Jackets. What's our podcast called? My Bloody Judy.
My Yellow Jacket.
My Bloody Judy is a horror podcast, and we're currently going through the current season of Yellow Jackets. It's been really great.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. And Ian, where can everybody find you and your stuff?
You can find me at Ian Carlos on all social platforms and my podcast, Slayerfest 98, which Zach and Alastair are both co-hosts on, at Slayerfest X98 on all social platforms and on Podbean and YouTube and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
There you go. So go and check out all the content, guys, all that juicy content, 'cause it's all great stuff. But yes, if you want to follow the podcast, you can watch all episodes of it on YouTube if you want. Just type in Last Week on there. You'll find it on there. Otherwise, it's available on all streaming platforms for podcasts. Just type it in. You'll find it on there. If you want to follow it on social media, type in Last Week on Pod. It is that name on everything. And if you do want to follow me personally, I am at Straughan87 on all social media. Type that in. You'll see my face. So thanks again, everyone, for doing this with me. This has been incredible. I always love, this is like my Super Bowl whenever Invincible comes back, because I fucking love covering it. But yeah, just final thoughts. One thing from each of you. What's one little thing you think is going to happen in season 4?
That's dangerous. It's going to turn into another hour.
I'm going to say time jump. I'm just gonna
Okay.
say it.
Time jump. Got it.
Oh, what we're looking forward to?
Yeah, season 4, just one thing that we think is going to happen in season 4. I think a time jump's a good shout, actually, Alistair.
Ian, go first.
More Alan. I want to see more
Yes.
Alan. I love Alan. He's my favorite character. I was a little disappointed we didn't see him. I really thought Nolan and Alan were coming for this.
Yeah.
That's what I thought we were prepping for.
Same.
And I was like, if there was a letdown, it was that not that we didn't see Nolan, because I still fucking hate Nolan, but Alan, I want to see my baby boy Alan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know, I'm really excited for the alien invasion. I think that's fun. That's going to be a fun little episode that they do with this.
Fun?
So, yeah, I think so.
It's gonna be this again.
I'm excited about it.
I honestly think rather than an invasion, I think they're going to get everybody together, and then with the knowledge of like where Viltrum and everything is, with Nolan coming back, with obviously Conquest, I think they're going to take the fight to them. And I think that would be pretty cool. Like if they go to them and literally
that
with
idea.
That's
everybody.
great. Leave Earth alone for a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's what
Let's
I mean.
Go somewhere else.
Go
okay?
to Viltrum, bring the fight to them when they're ready. So I think maybe might get a little bit of that, or it might lead up to that in season 4, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you everyone for checking this out as well, coming on the journey with us. Had a lot of new followers as well to the podcast, which has been phenomenal. So thank you again. And yeah, until next time, everyone, take care.